Okay, so this is going to be a quick introduction to how to use the new WebinarNinja 5.0, which is still in development. So I have this preview because I already have WebinarNinja 4.0, and so we've been given early access. So some of the things I'm going to show you are just kind of being formulated. You'll see things that say coming soon and things like that. So by the time that you're doing your trial, you're probably going to see it built out a little bit more than what I'm going to show you today. But the main thing I want you to see today is how quick it is to get started. So I have spent all total about 5 minutes acclimating myself to this new 5.0. I had actually gone to log in to 4.0 and was going to do some stuff there. And it was like, oh, you need to sign up for the new one now. You're going to be switched over in a month. So I'm pretty new to this. So this is going to show you like what you could do in the system without a whole lot of time going through help files and tutorials and things like that. Okay. So I'm on the dashboard, which is where you are when you first log in. And I'm just going to say create new webinar. And you can see here, there are 4 types of webinars that you can do. So the default one is you're doing a live broadcast. So that's this one here. Automated is more like evergreen. Series is like a summit where there are going to be different episodes on different times and different days with different speakers and things like that. And hybrid is where you're there live, but there's also part of it that's a pre-recorded video. So because of the automated feature, when you're comparing this to other webinar software, you might compare this, say, more to something like Stealth Web Seminars or EverWebinar, not say Webinar Jam, because this one is the one that has the evergreen. So if I go to automated here, and you'll see it says actually here under the question mark, use a past webinar or any recorded video to run webinars on autopilot. So that's your evergreen, where you can use one of the recordings of one that you did live or just a video that you made and make that available here under evergreen. And it just lets you, repeat it ever so many weeks, days, or months on whatever day of the week and for however many occurrences you want and starting whenever you want. And you just need to use a YouTube video as the URL here, and it can be either free or paid. So I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do the live one. And so I would just give it a title. So counting right now. So to start your clocks now, how long this is going to take me. So I'm going to call mine test webinar, and it is my name. And then I'm going to make it for, let's say I'm going to make it for the 15th. And I'll take the default time. My time zone is in here because when I first logged in, it prompted me to set up the account. And one of the things it asked me for was my time zone. So I did that already. I am going to do a free event. If I wanted to do paid, it integrates with Stripe. I think it also integrates with a few other payment processors. If I come over here to integrations, you can see there what different payment programs you could integrate with. But I'm just going to say create webinar and do a free one. And boom, that's it. Everything is now done. The registration page was just created. The thank you page was just created. The several notification reminders to your attendees for before and the replays for after the webinar was just created. It's all done. Now, the reality is in the old 4.0, it would not be done that quickly because as you would go, you would say, okay, I want a registration page. Well, it would ask you then, which registration page do you want? And it would allow you to edit the registration page right then while you're in the process of setting up your webinar. Same thing with the thank you. Same thing with the integrations to your autoresponder, which by the way is not yet up and running in 5.0 yet. You have to use Zapier if you want to integrate with your autoresponder as of this recording date, but they are working on that. So by the time that you're in there, you may be able to leave Zapier out of the equation. But you would, in the old process, be doing all of that and going straight into editing the email notifications, all in that same workflow. So now they've separated it out. So it feels like, hey, it took me seconds to get my webinar up. Now, if I want to, I can go in and edit the registration, the thank you, the email notifications. To me, I actually kind of preferred it all being in one process together because there's no chance in the world that I don't want to edit the registration, thank you, and emails. So I'm like, just have me do it now. But anyway, different strokes for different folks. Let me just go show you now how to get over to where you would edit those things if you choose to. Okay, so here's my testing webinar. And if I click edit here, You see how it expands this list? So these are the things I can change. And if I had forgotten to add a host, I could add another host now. And after the webinar, I could review the stats on this webinar. But right now, the three that matter most are the registration page, the thank you page, and the email notifications. So let's just take a quick look at each one of those. Okay, so in the old way of setting this up, when you were setting up your registration page, right about now, you'd see a bunch of different thumbnails. Like there were like 8 to 10 different thumbnails of different possible registration pages you could use. Here you go to this drop down and there's only one available right now. But again, I'm in the pre-release. And so you can see where it says unlocked soon. So you can see more are coming. So I'm just going to leave it on the default here. I can change the color scheme a little bit here. So like, let's say I choose that color scheme. Okay, so I'm going to say select. And now it changed my overlay color. Now this picture in the background, doggone it, I still can't change it. This was one of the things that bothered me before about WebinarNinja and their registration pages. And it's still bothering me that I cannot edit that image. I can't just say, oh, I like the basic layout of it, but of course I want my own pictures. No, I can't actually edit anything. I can't even change the color of this button. You see I'm clicking on it, nothing is happening. I can't change it from register now to yes, I'm in or something like that. I can't get rid of the WebinarNinja branding despite the fact that I am in a paid account. They still use me for their marketing. I can't change anything right now. Like normally I don't like to say webinar. I say workshop or event. But right now I can't edit this. In the old one, I could edit things like this. I could change that to workshop. I never would have used it otherwise. But right now, this is not yet ready quite for prime time, so I can't change that. So I'm going to now show you the thank you page. And again, same basic idea. They're going to have more templates that you could choose from, but for now, all I can really choose is kind of like the theme color, so I can make it match. And again, I can't change anything, even as something as simple as changing the color of this button or something like that right now. But I have to imagine they're going to change that because I can't imagine them not letting you change colors. And email notifications. Now this one, even if you do see that, hey, I can't really change much of anything on the registration or thank you page, so maybe I'll just kind of skip that. Definitely come here and change the email notifications and customize them a little more. They've got some good emails here already. There's one as soon as the person registers, another one that's the day before the event, this day of the event, an hour before the event, as it's starting. And then it does keep track of whether someone who registered attended or not. The way that they do that is because you have to submit your name and your email address to watch a webinar that you have registered for. So when you log in like that, that's how they sort into who did or did not ever log in. So afterwards, they send the replay, this one to the people who did not log in, and this one to the people who did log in. Why there's this extra one down here, I don't really know. They're both 2 hours after the end of the webinar. This one is thanks for attending and has the replay link. This one is thanks for attending and doesn't. So I guess you would come here and definitely, if nothing else, delete one of these. So either you want to send the replay to people who attended, or you don't want to send the replay to people who have attended. And then let's just show you in just editing one of them. So when I edit it, it doesn't open a new page. It just expands an area on this page. I don't actually see where I could delete this email. So I'm not seeing anything here where I can say, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to send both of these emails to 2 hours after the event to the people who attended. I only want one of them. I don't see where I can delete it, and I don't see where I can repurpose it. So I might want to use this to say, let's say a day or two after the webinar to say, hey, here's a reminder, the cart's closing soon. Here's this special coupon that you get for having registered for this. I might want to do that, especially since this does not yet integrate with my autoresponder where I would normally do that after, a few days after the event. But I can't change this to make this email go out a different amount of time later and to have it go out to everybody instead of only the people who attended. I also can't delete it. So this is a little problematic. And by the time that this is fully released, hopefully this will no longer be the case. So I'm just going to close this. Oh, one other thing while I'm here. a lot of the times I will edit all of these things, like where it's merging some things in, like the title of the webinar. I sometimes name things with an internal convention so that it's easier for me to keep track of different versions of something. So the webinar title, if it just inserts it, it's going to show the system name, and that's usually different than what a marketing name would be. So this, I usually just will put the actual, let's say that was the name of the webinar. Not a great name, but hey. And that's what I would just put there. I would take out the merge fields. And same thing down here. Like my username is actually a part of my company name. So I would put my real personal name in here. The only thing that I usually keep for the merges are anything, the webinar link. I need them to insert that. That and the first name. Usually I'll put the first name of the person it's addressed to. Everything else I tend to type out. And this is just for this webinar. So changing this does not change your default template. It's still available with these defaults for any other webinar you create or have created. So don't be afraid to edit this to customize it exactly. So I'm going to save that. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else that I can really change. Over here, like I said, you can take a look at what are some available and upcoming integrations that are going to be available. So for paid webinars, it does look like it's only Stripe right now. And for third party, you can see all these different email autoresponders that are going to be integrated with it. But right now you need to use Zapier. And they also have the intention, it looks like you're going to be able to do it directly with Facebook ads or something like that. And they're still working on that. And there are other things over here that you can explore, but it's largely things that show it's more about what happens after the webinar and how you look at your statistics and your subscribers and things like that. So hopefully this has been helpful and gives you an idea whether this is something that you want to take for a test drive. Bye-bye.